Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. We're back. Hibs are back in league action and we're back to getting beat. We'll go straight. We've got a full house. Harry, we'll come straight to you. How do these rules apply if Hibs play on the Thursday night and are shit? How are you feeling?
Nah, mate, you can the rules. Hibs are shite. Harry's shite. So I've been shite for the best part of about 24 years now. Nah, I'm all right, mate. I'm doing all right. Thank you.
You back up the road yet?
Yeah, no, I'm currently recording from Bex's. I've been banished to the living room. It's been the designated area where I'm allowed to record from. So thank you, Bex, for the facilities. Yeah, so back up in sunny Scotland.
Excellent, mate. Ryan, how you doing, man?
All good in the neighbourhood. Yourself?
You need to start again. No, I'm absolutely good. Liam, you told us in the group chat earlier that you were going to win a top from when Hibs. Was it when Hibs were on the shite or when Hibs made you happy?
Aye.
What is it
Listen,
about this top that's made you wear that one? Because I know
I
you've got
just
two options.
I've got a few options. I just thought I'd go with the 6-2 one because we were reminiscing on the Lifetime Livings episode a few weeks ago. If you've not listened to it, go back and listen to it. And just made me reminisce about much happier times being a Hibs fan.
And
I just thought, yeah.
Greg, you've not got your camera that on the day. Is that because you're sweating because you're getting that close to Christmas? You just can't contain your excitement. Is that what's going on?
I mean, no quite. It's Virgin Media and their fucking shite Wi-Fi, mate.
Right.
Apparently nobody's allowed to have their camera on and be on this not anymore. They've stopped the fun. So.
Right, Hibs are back in league action. So what we're going to go through tonight, we'll quickly talk over the Rangers game. Most people have, I think, got out their system by now, the fact it was on Thursday night. Look ahead to the Livingston game on Christmas Eve. Listener questions, and then I think we're going to do a little bit of sort of transfer stuff around what we'd like to see come in, because we've had a lot of questions coming about what we'd like to see go out. So I guess maybe to provide some balance to that as well. Harry, we'll come to you first. Hibs lined up at Ibrox. It looked, for all intents and purposes, it was going to be a 3-5-2. However, it lined up that Ryan Porteous was in midfield. What did you make of that change initially and the sort of change of formation?
I think by half time I was holding my hands up and saying to Lee Johnson, "Fair play." I got it completely wrong. So yeah, no,
Just like the way you say half time then, isn't it?
well, turn on your camera, then you can talk shit, Greg. Yeah, no, from my point of view, I thought the team line looked terrible, but I think they proved a lot of people wrong. I thought they played really well in the first half, so I was more than happy with the performance first half, and with the way that we lined up.
Liam, me, you, Ryan, were in a few different sort of group chats and stuff. There's been quite a little bit of conflict of opinion over the first half of did the goals otherwise mask a really sort of lucky first 45, or are you of the similar opinion as to Harry that we were actually pretty impressive in the first 45 minutes?
I think there was some really good parts. I played in the first 45 minutes. I think you always the cliche that gets rolled out when you're away at Celtic or Rangers is you've got to take your chances. And we created two good chances, well actually three good chances, and scored two of them. So we did create good chances, and we put them in the back of the net. So I was pleased enough with the way we played first 45 minutes. I would like to have seen us kept the ball a wee bit better if I was being picky, but I think to go on half time with a 2-1 lead, you kind of got to be pretty chuffed with that, I think.
Yeah, Ryan, other than Rangers' goal, they never really created anything else in the first half. They had a lot of the ball. I think Hibs were quite happy for them to have the ball, but I don't recall them having any sort of glaring misses. And really, like Liam said, we don't know if it's too far to say we should have been more than two up, but obviously Ellie Yuan had a pretty good chance, and Josh Campbell had the post as well. So, should we have maybe killed that game off in the first half?
Could have been a different story come the second half had we gone in 3-1 up. I think what we done well was we allowed them to have possession in areas of the pitch that weren't dangerous, but they couldn't harm us. And it's probably the first time that we've done it to an extent against one of the teams that were maybe not expected to pick up a result away from home at. Went to Celtic Park, we're totally open and got cut to pieces. So I think seeing Hibs do that was beneficial. We could easily come away with a different result at the end of the game.
Greg, in that first 45 minutes, it felt like Kevin Nisbet and Josh Campbell.
Greg's just dropped off.
He's just dropped off.
He doesn't want to answer your question.
Harry, Kevin Nisbet and Josh Campbell were really probably the two standouts in the first 45 for me. We went quite direct, but they won everything in the air and done a really good job of getting us up the pitch.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with those two players is they were very direct. I think that's the thing that we had this game that we've been lacking in the last few fixtures, is we've just kind of been very passive on the ball. But I think every time we got it, especially in the first half, we were very efficient in getting the ball forward to someone who was then trying to make something happen. Josh Campbell again. He's. I think Liam said in a group chat, I've never seen a turnaround quite like it. Like, he went from a player that should never play for the club again to this season being probably our best player game for game.
Player of the year so far is Josh Campbell, right? Probably no conversation.
I'd say that so far.
Very
We all wanted
consistent.
him out in the summer, by the way. Just in case
And
I think I said
just
loan, to be fair. The rest of you were getting him out on permanent.
And just to say on Kevin Nisbet, again, it's just, even if you took everything aside, the way he took that goal, it's the exact type of thing we've been missing: an actual clinical finisher, someone who can stand in front of the goal and not shit themselves. So the fact we've got him back in the team, hopefully we get him full speed soon enough.
Liam, was that a little bit of a reminder of just how good a player Kevin Nisbet can be, that first half especially at Ibrox? And would you say that he's already proven himself to be probably first choice at the top end of the pack?
I think I'm going to use my second cliche that I've stolen tonight. But I think all cliches are stolen, really, aren't they? Hence why they're cliches. If you create chances, Kevin Nisbet will score goals. We did not create enough chances for long periods last season, which is why he wasn't scoring goals. But when you create chances, he will score goals.
Yeah. Greg, we were just touching on Kevin Nisbet's impact back into the team, obviously, after his long injury layoff. Was there anyone else that stood out for you in the first half other than him and Josh Campbell? Is he here? Is he not here?
I think our 5-a-side team's a 4-a-side team, right? By the sounds of it.
Ryan, Harry, Liam, anyone else that you felt in that first 45 minutes that was really worth pointing out, or was it really sort of a two-man band when it came to the first half?
I think there was good performances across the board, to be honest. I think that I thought Cadden first half looked pretty good at carrying the ball forward. I think defensively, not so great, but I think that was kind of across the board, across the back four. But yeah, no, I think at halftime I would say that good was a good way to summarise it. I think that saying superb in the first half was a bit dramatic. We took our chances, we were efficient, definitely. But yeah, let's talk about the second half, because I think we've all got a bit of frustrations to air off after watching Hibs play for the first time in 2 months.
Sorry, were we efficient? I don't think we were.
I'd say 2 out of 3 good chances, taking 2 out of 3 major chances is efficient, yeah?
No,
if you've done that every game of football, you'd score goals for fun.
I think you need to be efficient all over the pitch to call yourself efficient, and also call yourself superb. We didn't really defend well enough. I wasn't impressed with our closing down in the first half, but we're slow. It happened that the first goal, we've obviously taken it well, but Poach has been left. Second goal, it's Nisbet's instincts got him the goal, but after that, I mean, if you're efficient, if you're clinical, you then score at least one more. Ewan's chance is unforgivable that he's missed.
And maybe a bit overkill.
It's a good chance, but it's not a great chance, really. Like he's off the right.
One. He literally just needs to stick it to the side.
He's one on one, but he is down the right hand side. It's a good chance. Like, they get me wrong, but it's not a great chance. It's not like one of those ones that you're saying it's pure gilt edged. It's not like Bojan against Kilmarnock. Come on now.
Can I just throw out that I just said let's get into the second half so we can start slating the team, and Greg was like, hold the phone, I want to slate the first half that we actually were winning 2-1 at.
But at half time, we were obviously chatting in the group chat, all of us fairly happy. A couple concerns Greg and Liam referenced sort of when we set plays and stuff, we were quite slow to get out on the second ball. And for me, the one thing was that even towards the end of the first half, you've seen the willingness to counter-attack maybe had already started to drop off. And the one concern was that we just then tried that all game in the second half. And ultimately, Ryan, that's what transpired. And very quickly in the first half, it felt like a change was on the cards that never came.
Yeah, I just mentioned to you before we come on there, I think there is a time and a place to put men behind the ball and kind of block from the front. I don't want to get too technical, but go into kind of low block and absorb a bit of pressure and soak it up. But 45 minutes isn't that time. Definitely when you're with Ibrox, because, I mean, the more of the ball you give them, percentage-wise, the more opportunities they're going to try and carve out. The counter-attack was working quite well in the first half. Obviously, we got one of the goals from it, and the other from a set piece. So, I mean, there was no real reason to change the way that we were playing as such, because there didn't seem to be like a great threat from Rangers, given that they had most of the ball in their own half. So I was a wee bit disappointed to see that we went super defensive so early on.
Yeah. Liam, you were probably asking for changes the quickest out of all five of us. What would you have like changed sort of early doors in that second half, or even potentially at half time? I don't know if that was.
Just that, fucking knows. Just do something. Just fucking do anything. I'm struggling to remember who we had on the bench, but I would have liked to have seen us brought Noah and Kenna on at some point. I think it was a sort of game that was crying out for him. I think he probably should have started, in all honesty. I think it needed someone with a bit of dig in the midfield to give us the basis to go and play off. I probably would have took Yuan off in the second half pretty early on. And maybe even possibly brought Stevenson on if we weren't going to use Kenna in the midfield role. I just think it's one of those things that you look at it, and we were calling for changes at half time. Lee Johnson sits and leaves at 15 minutes, and by that point the game's almost run away for you. And I can't, putting myself in his shoes, can't see what he was watching in that 15-minute spell that satisfied him enough to leave it the way it was, which comes back to just do anything, change anything, because doing anything would be better than doing nothing. And he just sat and watched it, and it got done to us rather than us going trying to influence it. That's the frustrating thing. You know, you talked about the thing about the defenders not getting back out when we've cleared our lines or got the ball out of our box. Like that's fucking primary school stuff. That genuinely, when I played 11 sides at primary school, one of the things you worked on in training was getting your offside line 10, 15 metres up the pitch. And they weren't. They were walking or they were jogging. Just a real lack of energy. It makes me really worry about what we've been working on during the break, if that's the best we can do.
Yeah. Harry, the goals ultimately, like Liam said, they just felt like an absolute inevitability in the second half. We had maybe one moment with a decent chance and the ball went across and Nisbet was just caught on his heels. But other than that, there was nothing. And it was just a really tame second half overall, wasn't it?
I think the thing is, I agree with Ryan in the sense that you shouldn't sit in for the whole half. But if you are going to sit in, at least set up properly to do it with the formation that we were in. Like defensively, at times we've been all over the place this season. But the best we've looked at the back was Rocky in the middle with Hanlon and Porteous on either side of him. Why not take off one of the central midfielders, put Kenna in the role that Rocky was in, and put Porteous to the back three? Like I would have felt more comfortable sitting at the back absorbing pressure if we actually had a solid back five as opposed to a disjointed back five that Porteous was kind of half in, half out. We needed more time on the ball to take pressure off the defenders. And then Kenna, although he's not great on the ball, he's more comfortable in that position than Porteous is. Like,
it's not like anyone was playing on the ball anyway.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like there was no semblance of effort. Like realistically, we shat the bed second half. Like if they hadn't scored, it would have been a miracle. That's literally what it would have taken for them not to have won that game. We as Liam said, we lost the game. They didn't win it.
Yeah, let's not dissect all the goals too much, but Greg, it was another set play which feels like has again been an Achilles heel this season. Potentially a couple of seasons ago we'd done okay. I think in the COVID season we didn't concede a goal from a cross, but this year cross balls are just absolutely killing us, and this time it came direct from a corner.
Yeah, well, it comes direct from a corner, and then the centre half is behind the player that scores. Which really isn't even as good as amateur stuff. We don't attack balls when they come into our box. We don't defend with aggression. You know, we just don't really do a whole lot of anything. We just sort of stand by and spectate.
Do you think, like, for me, I thought Nisbet done a really good job of that front post in the first half. I think he won a few balls from corners, maybe channeling his inner Doige, if you believe Harry. But that second goal, for me, I think a lot of people have blamed Hanlon a lot for the positioning on Jack, but Nisbet's just got to do his job at the front post. He just, I think, is it Arfield maybe that runs right across? I might be wrong, but the player gets right across him and really wins the header uncontested. It's that for me. If you stop at its source.
Yeah, but then if you're asking people to do their job, then you're asking your most experienced centre half to stand goal side to the man. not behind him. Which to be, I mean, he's 3 yards out. Ewan, come on, this is professional football at a good level, and he's still making mistakes at fucking 32, 33-year-old, however he is.
Is he not
But
goal side? If he's in front of it, wouldn't be goal.
No, he's behind him. He's actually behind him. Ryan Jack, it literally comes to Ryan Jack's feet and he sweeps it in because Paul Hanlon's behind him. It's incredible. Like, I just don't understand it. I mean, even the goal in the first half, he doesn't really deal with the first header well enough. And let us get on the third goal and we can slate him even more, because it was an absolute disgrace how bad he was on Thursday night. And I'm going to say it again for maybe the 4th or 5th time, he should not be at the football club. And he should not be playing games of football for this football club.
Is that not just a bit overreaction at the after one bad game?
No, absolutely not. It's not one bad game, Ewan. He's been shite since the start of the season. Like, he genuinely has been shite. But a few okay games. And look, it's not his fault he's still here and having to play games of football. Ultimately, he should have been replaced. But he is to be, and he's still making not even basic mistakes now.
Aye. Right. I think anyone else got anything to add?
I just really quickly on Paul Hamlin. I don't think he's been terrible all season, but that was a performance which in isolation is enough to get any player dropped, regardless of their former legacy. It was really, really poor. But I think he has had some good performances this season. But I could totally understand if it was dropped from the starting 11 on the basis of that, because in some way, not wholly, but in some way he is culpable for all 3 goals.
Aye. Right, let's move on. Maybe the last wee bit on the Rangers game. We spoke about changes before the goals. Did Lee Johnson was he happy to get beat 3-2? Because
See for me, sorry, just on this, I commended him at the start of the season for making changes early. And there was a couple of times he'd done it against Rangers where 26 minutes into the game and he made a change at home. Now he's doing the opposite and just leaving it far too late. Somewhere in between at the sweet spot of making changes would be ideal, like. But bringing players on the 85th minute is no good to me. Like, that's no good. And if that's his behaviour, he's got a lot to learn.
They're not really the type of player for me that screams bring them on in the 85th minute. You know what I mean? Like, you're not bringing on a Christian Doidge, if you like. You know, you can just fucking launch it and he might win something in there. You're bringing on a Melkerson. They need time to get into the game. They're young. I mean, let's be honest, none of the subs made an impact. So there's no really any chance that you can say, maybe other than McGeady had a couple of nice moments, but one
a free kick.
I think
put a decent
late on he
cross
put a good cross in.
I did put a decent
someone
cross
probably
in.
should have maybe should have done a bit better with, but
I agree.
None of the subs really, none of the subs I don't think after their contributions could complain that they never got in earlier. But when we were just watching the same shite all second half, it was just really, really poor. But let's not waste too much time on it. Right, let's get on to this Livi game on Christmas Eve. Harry, how much of a burden is this for your festive weekend?
Oh, mate, that's the only reason I came up. If Hibs weren't playing, I wouldn't have come home. So I'm buzzing for the Livi game, mate. Easy 3-0 win. Book it.
Liam, talk to us from the point of view of someone that doesn't get withdrawals feast or road like Harry does in London. What do we expect this weekend?
Genuinely, honestly, an away win. What to expect for this weekend? Livingston to outwork us, probably outperform us, and take 3 points. Just being frank, that's the recipe. Livingston come here, they outwork us, they run us into the ground. Joel Newbley will probably bully a couple of our centre halves, and we'll probably lose. Like, genuinely, if you're talking about expectation, that is my expectation at this current point in time, an away win.
Greg, I'm going to do something really unusual here. Give us some positivity, and what do Hibs need to do to win the game? How do Hibs win this game?
Really, Greg? Really? Come on.
Positivity, Hibs only lose by 2 goals. What the Hibs need to do, run, be tactically aware, be clever, be a little bit inventive maybe. Let's not just be predictable all the time. Get the ball to Nisbet and pray that we'll do something. But listen, on the back of what Liam says, David Martindale, everyone goes, he's a Livi manager, blah blah blah, but he will absolutely outsmart us tactically. His players will run more than we do. His players will press more than we do, and his players will score more goals than we do. And Joe Newbley will bully Paul Hanlon again.
What Ryan, what is it do you think about this Livingston team that is the biggest threats? Because look, Newbley in this against us looks great, but he scored 3 league goals this season.
I think we plenty teams like Livingston's hands though. When Lee Johnson talks about playing really high, getting the centre backs on the halfway line, that totally suits teams like Livingston. Livingston in particular, they'll show us a lesson on how to get men behind the ball and really expose on the counter attack. Because they've got that big man to hit, they can play into the channels and then they get guys forward off him. It will be an absolute lesson for Lee Johnson. If he wants to watch it, that's how you go into a low block with men behind the ball. They want 20 players in one half. They totally thrive on that. And as I say, we just play into their hands every time.
Really what they've done against us was it the second or third game of the season at the Tony Mackley minute. We were there, obviously. It was frustrating to say the least. We came away from it saying Hibs probably played pretty well in the second half. After a torture 45 minutes. But again, sucker punch with a set play. What changes would you like to see to the 11 that would maybe make you feel a little bit more confident of a Hibs win at the weekend? Liam.
You talking to me or Liam? Or?
I said Liam.
Oh, sorry.
He did say Liam. He did say Liam.
Eventually got to me, sorry.
Fuck off.
No, I'm only joking. I don't know. What changes would I make? I'd bring Kenna back in. I know he didn't have a great game against Livi the last time, but I'd bring Kenna back in. I'd probably go with Kenna and McGuinness and you. Depends on sort of Chabraya's status and his mindset. If he's ready to play, I'd probably stick with him at left back. But if he's not, I'd actually play Oscar McIntyre because I don't think we're going to learn anything from playing Lewis Stevenson at left back. I like Stevenson, but as a left back and a back four, I think he doesn't really offer us the ability to go forward, to be quite honest, to go beyond the halfway line. And I'd go, I dropped Joe Neal.
Fair enough. Matt, right, I'll run through what my 11 would be real quick and see whatever. Well, you all know it anyway. I've sent you ahead of it. But Marshall on goals, Cadden, Rocky, Porteous, Stevenson at fullback, Kenna in front of the back four, Campbell and McGuinness either side of Diamond, McGeady at the top of that, and then Kukrevich if he's fit with Nisbet. If he's not fit, flip a coin for McCurdy or Melkerson. Probably Melkerson, maybe more likely to be sniffing in the box than McCurdy, I would guess. I don't think that'll happen. That's not a formation that we've seen Lee Johnson play at all. Usually when things haven't went well, he's reverted to 3-5-2 this season, which I think would worry me massively. I think, if you put 5 defenders on the field, albeit, like Chris Cadden being a wing back there in that formation, 5 defenders on the field against Livi's playing into their hands as far as I'm concerned, Harry?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Your team's not too far off mine, but guys, I'm at the stage of Lee Johnson where I think gung-ho football. So my back four, you'd obviously have Marshall in goals. Then you'd have back four, be Cadden, Porteous, Rocky. I'd get McIntyre on there, regardless of Chabraya's fit or no. I think we need people that are going to run the whole game. And whether or not he has a good performance, Livi are just going to try and run him back and forth. And we'll maybe sub him in the 60th minute, but he'll put a good shift in because he wants to keep that starting spot. And then fullbacks, they're full of energy. Brilliant. And then middle, I would have Campbell and McGuinness because they're going to run like a riot the whole game. We're just going to send them back and forth. They're going to be doing, what do you call it, bleep test in the middle of the field. It's going to be great. Call it field instead of a pitch just to wind up Liam. And then we're going to have McGeady in behind the 3 strikers. And we're going to start Nisbet, Melkerson and McCurdy. We're just going to go at it. It's going to be great.
Who's taking the ball off the centre halves?
Mate, there is no centre halves.
McGeady
Everybody's midfield and onwards here. We're gung-ho football.
Reckon McGeady can play the Griezmann role up until the final.
Exactly. Because see what I'm thinking is, if we come into a shootout, we've got no capability. But if we score 5 goals, Livi are going to score 6.
Harry, we've scored about 5 goals all season. Where the fuck are you getting over? Look, Greg, you spoke about running. Legs in midfield for me is probably going to be crucial. That's why I think McGuinness and Campbell definitely they both have to be in the starting 11. You can talk. People have spoken in the past about Livingston's limitations. You know, players like Omiyonga or Jason Holt or that, but they will cover every blade of grass if you like at Easter Road. And surely first and foremost, we need to be able to do better than them in that area.
First and foremost, you need to try and match them. I would agree that Joe Newell needs dropped. I thought he was worse than a man down against Rangers. So I think if you get Campbell and McGuinness in there doing the running, and you maybe get McGeady in behind the strikers, and to me that would be a good compromise. But I don't know. I think we also need pace up front, so I'd probably go with McCurdy instead of Melkerson, to be honest.
Okay.
McCurdy's scored goals at least recently. Not at Hibs, but he's scored goals recently.
How long does recently last?
Whereas Melkerson's not. So yeah.
Right, Ryan, we've done enough team selection and whatnot. One of the questions that we've had in from the listeners, I'm going to pose it now because it makes sense to do so. Is this the must-win game if we have any chance of finishing in the top 4? I believe the question was this season.
What, so the whole season hinges on this game?
That was the question, mate.
I think, listen, it's a must-win game for Lee Johnson, first and foremost. I think he'll be on a very sugary peg if he doesn't win this, especially with it being a home game and there are fixtures we've just had and the fixtures to come with Celtic and Hearts coming up. I think for top 4, there's still a lot of games left. So to say we need to win this one to finish top 4 whilst other teams around about us are still dropping points is a bit early. However, for many other reasons, it's a must-win.
Aye, Liam, similar thoughts to that? Maybe would it be more writing off Lee Johnson's future as a Hibs manager as opposed to the chances of top 4 if we did get beat at the weekend?
I think the only question mark is whether we can afford to sack him or not. Because to be honest, I think if we lose to Livingston at the weekend, if we hadn't emptied a manager in April and a manager the December before that, I think he would be gone. Whether we can afford to do it or not, I don't know. That's genuinely the only question mark for me at this stage. It is an absolutely wretched run of form. It doesn't matter how early on you are in your tenure. And some of his actions outside of our performances in game probably mean I don't think it would even be a harsh sacking anymore, to be honest. I think managers have lost their job for less.
Yeah. Right, Harry, Lee Johnson anyway was fairly positive after the result on Thursday night post-match. What's your score prediction? Are we going to be feeling positive after Saturday?
I told you, mate, 3-0. Hibs 3, Livi 0. Easy.
So you did.
Were we superb in that first half in that game, Harry?
Mate, we were terrible first half. All 3 goals came in the second half. Don't you worry.
Yeah, and to be fair, Greg, Harry did say that superb was overkill. That's just being nasty at this point. And actually, just while we're talking about people being nasty, I've noticed that Harry's felt the need to put in brackets, yes, I know I've got 4 eyes at the end of every one of his tweets recently. So
class for Harry, disarming the opponent. I love it.
Can I say one of my favourite Tynecastle memories was you ken that wee gimpy section of young Hearts fans that sit in the corner. One of them was mouthing off, and I shouted, "Shut it, you specky bastard!" He must have only been about 10, but I've never seen such a confused specky 10-year-old in my life, and it was such a big victory for me, guys.
Right.
Patrick Partledge just posted an article saying that Hibs hope that Kukurevich is going to be fit for Saturday.
Praise the Lord.
That's a massive bonus if he is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if Lee
Fucking 4-0.
Johnson was to be sacked as well, that'd be huge.
Right, Liam, score prediction. Harry's got 3-0. Then we'll go Ryan, then we'll go Greg, then we'll go me. That's just.
I've never predicted a Hibs defeat, so I'm going to be really schizophrenic here and say 4-0 Hibs.
Oh,
People must
Fucking
listen to
run-up.
this. People genuinely
Statement victory for new caretaker manager Eddie May.
Nah, to be fair, we can't sack him until the week before St Mirren away.
true.
All caretakers have to play St Mirren away. That's the rules.
Right, Ryan.
A bit like Liam, I could never predict a loss. 2-0 Hibs, with it being Christmas Eve, we all deserve a wee gift, eh?
I would do that. Greg.
Livi -3.
Can I just say we've all predicted the Hibs clean sheet. There is not a chance in hell Livingston will come to Easter Road on Saturday and not scoring. There is not a chance that you're not scoring.
I'll just say the happen here then and say 2-1 Hibs.
It's false hope, man. It's totally false hope, eh?
Aye.
Mate, people must listen to this and just all they've done is talk shit about Hibs for half an hour. And then we've got a 3-0. A 4-0.
You made a fatal mistake at the start of that sentence by saying people must listen to this.
Just to our families that listen, man.
Hey.
My mum 300 times a day.
Right,
Just to be polite.
Right, let's move on to sort of transfers and stuff. I'm going to we'll do some listener questions here and also sort of some inbound stuff. So we've had quite a few questions about players we would like to see out the door in January. So the people that do listen to us are feeling just as positive as we are. So, right, Dav has said, no, sorry, that was last week's question. I apologise. Right,
we do one each and why? One player each out and why?
Aye, so quite a few people have asked. Oh no, Dad did say top 5, SGC top 3. So aye, let's go for one each. Liam, you kick us off.
I'm not going to take the tap in because it looks like he's already away. But I'm going to go for Dimitri Mitchell.
We'll just inform everyone who that tap in is. And we'll avoid.
Bojang's the tap in, I think, given that the news is that it looks like he's away. But Dimitri Mitchell for me has really been fit. Looked relatively promising, I would say, when he first came in, but has offered next to nothing really, to be honest. And that game that he was subbed before half time was actually painful to watch. So get him out.
Harry.
Can I just caveat by saying, personally, I think January is the worst possible time for a rebuild. You get stuck with Deadwood. So, like, as much as I do want
Right, we're offloading last January's rebuild. Deadwood.
I know. As much as I'd like 6 or 7 players to leave, I wouldn't like many of them to leave until summer. I'd get Will Fish out and get a different centre back, and it'll actually get game time.
Okay, Greg.
I'll go for my obvious one, Paul Hanlon, and who else do I want to see go? Ryan Schofield. To be honest, he's just doing absolutely nothing. He's achieving nothing at the club, so just get him out.
I think that's a nailed on, isn't it? It was only a 6-month loan anyway. I think Roski's fit again, so I think that's nailed on. Ryan, who would be sort of towards the top end of your list of likely players to depart, not necessarily someone you want to go,
but I'm not saying I've got a burning desire for this guy to go, but Lewis Miller, he's had zero impact, zero contribution, and very limited ability. I think with Chris Cadden's form not being great, he's not had anybody kind of competing for his position or pushing him on, and I think he's probably failed a little bit because of that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So what have we got so far? Bojang, Mitchell, Will Fish, Ryan Schofield, Paul Hanlon, and Ryan. Who did you say there?
Lewis Miller.
For me, someone that I think's very likely to move on because I think he might get a new club. I think there'll still be offers in there. I think Jade Doyle Hayes might be out the door in January. If he's fit again, I think there's a player there that a lot of clubs will be interested in. And I don't see him getting a new deal at Hibs. And I think if the opportunity was there for him to move on, I think all parties probably would. And also Ryan Poitras as well. That's obviously another tap in there that seems likely. A few bits of chat about clubs potentially bidding started in the last few days. I think Hull were quoted with interest yesterday. But yeah, is it worrying that we were all able to list off names there?
Missed a few out as well, to be fair. Runar Hauga, Jair Tavares, who are
Bradley
mentioned in dispatches. There's a lot of school of thought that some other players maybe going out. Ewan Henderson I've seen mentioned a few times.
Chabraya's obviously going to want to leave. I'm
not saying I agree with all them, but I think there's obviously quite a lot of discourse about those players for a reason.
Right.
You do realise that Jake Dalhousie was contracted till 2025, yeah.
Sorry, I forgot he did sign an extension, but still, Greg,
I don't think the club would be willing just to let him go. Like, no danger. No with that big a contract anyway.
Actually, I forgot he did sign that. He signed a new deal. Was it for 3 or 4 months? I know. It was.
Dundee United, maybe. He was rumoured to go there before us initially, before he signed. I could maybe see Dundee United come in.
Listen, I don't think Jake Doyle is a bad player. But
no, not that.
He's not.
I think he's better.
I think.
See, in isolation, he's. Sorry, Greg.
I'm still not having him.
Sorry, Ryan, just nip in there, lad.
I get a chance anyway.
I think, shut up, you. I think he's a player that we should be playing when he's fit. To be honest, I think that we just don't play him in the right position, or we don't play him in the right system. But there we go. Lee Johnson, smaller than a garden gnome, attacking clarinet.
Fuck.
And tackles the fucking midfielders in training, which is super. That's exactly what we need there. Think you could maybe tackle Paul Hanlon this week?
Oh dear. Right. What we did want to do was obviously provide some form of balance here. We've been pretty critical of recruitment and of players and of performances over the last 12 months.
Put yourself on mute, man.
So we've all come up with a list of players that we think the club should potentially be taking a look at in January. Who wants to kick us off? Just maybe give us the names and then go into detail on 1 or 2 of them. Any takers?
I can go first if you want.
Sorry, are the rules are that you can still say the players you said at the start of the season?
Aye.
Just no Liam Lindsay. I don't want to hear
it. He's number 1 on the list, to be honest.
No, right, Harry, take us away.
All right, cool. So first of all, I've mentioned him a few times. I'm just going to get the obvious one out of the way. I like that Deepo Akinyemi boy. To back up before Greg bites my head off, he's got 15 goals and 5 assists in 18 games. Doing that at any level is pretty decent. So if we were to manage to sniff him up, I would not mind. And he's exactly.
Did you say as a backup?
No, sniff him up.
Oh, right, okay.
Aye. That doesn't make sense. I meant snap him up, but why wouldn't we? That's my point of view. And then second player, he moved down south at the start of last season. In January last season. And he's played 4 times in all competitions this year. Bring home to Scottish football, Giando Fuchs. I think he was brilliant at Dundee United. There's not a chance in hell we're getting him, but if we could get a loan sorted for him for the rest of the season, Peterborough got relegated and he's not hit the ground running in League One. Apparently, he got more game time in the Championship. But he's the exact type of midfielder I think we need. Just annoying, kick people, would love it, and he's a bit cute on the ball as well. Third one, this is one I think I'm going to get roasted for, but I've put it in because you guys, I love a story. And supposedly we've got a left back hole in the team. He was playing part-time football last season. This year moved to Partick Thistle, and I think he's had a very good season. Harry Milne, left back.
I'd be all over that. That's a really good shout. I'd be all over that.
He's scored 3 goals and set up 1. So in terms of moving forward, he bombs in the wing, and I think in 1-to-1 situations, I've watched him a few times.
Where was he last year?
Cove Rangers. He absolutely roasted Chris Mueller in that game against Hibs. I don't know if he's minding
Mueller.
for pace.
Oh, right, yeah, you're right.
Mind, absolutely fucking. He's decent
How
as well.
close was it
I've seen
that
him
night?
on Friday Night Football a couple of times. He is good.
Oh,
Aye.
how
And then
close
well, I was expecting pelters for that, but then I've got one curveball as well. I've noticed that I think last month he got let go from his club. Bring back to Scottish football, Jozo Simunovic. I don't know how to say his first name, but Simunovic has not got a club. I don't think he's within our wage budget. But if we got a centre back like that, I'd be very, very happy. Make him the marquee signing after we get rid of Porteous sorted.
Is there I was going to say, like, I don't know what his wages would be, but if we're offering Porteous what you're led to believe, then potentially we do have more scope than obviously.
Simunovic is always injured though. He's just
true.
permanently injured. Very good player.
Do you know what? I'm going to go next. Because
Wait! Can we at least rate each other's thing? I reckon if we had that transfer window, I'd be giving myself a solid 10 out of 10.
I actually quite liked your shouts. Apart from Akinyemi, I thought they were three really
What's your,
solid shouts.
What's wrong with
Not
Akinyemi?
What's your? Is it just sample size?
Well, Akinyemi,
Is
he going to play ahead of Nisbet or Kukurevich?
He's going to play ahead of Yuan and Melkerson and McCurdy.
He's not a wide player. He's not a wide player, though, is he? He's a central striker. He's a central striker. He's done all right for here, but I would be worried. I would be worried if we were signing him with the hope. I think if we were signing him, that I would be very worried about us.
My thinking is Kukurevich is far too good a player to be at Hibs next season, so I think we need to start planning for that.
So sign a worse player.
I don't think he's obviously not got as high a ceiling.
too
I don't
good
think
for
he's
us.
too far worse in terms of current potential, in terms of current ability. Sorry.
Harry, will you pack it in a bit? Honestly, just let it go. Right?
All right. Oh, sorry. Let's just
Yeah.
knock on Leon Lindsay's door and get him in the door. Yeah,
Can we just
Correct.
what?
I've been saying that for months.
What's the difference between the boy at AR and Kevin Nisbet before we sign them?
Kevin Nisbet done over 2 or 3 seasons. He's a more accomplished finisher as well. Akinyemi, the only bits I've really seen him, and I do really. There's not been enough of it on this season for me. I do really like the Friday Night Football and Championship when I'm at home, and I've caught him a couple of times. He's a real handful, but for me, he doesn't really look a particularly natural finisher, I must say.
Christian Deutsch with athletic ability is what we need.
I actually watched him against Pollock, and after about 6 minutes, he Toby the ball wide, and I thought, that's not for me.
Right, I'm going next.
Sorry, Harry.
I have no very extensive in my scouting for players this evening. First one on the list has my notes beside it says dash won't happen. That's Connor Ronan. I mean this in the nicest way. Connor Ronan's coming on loan or permanently to Scottish football. Is going to Hearts or Aberdeen. Why would you come to Hibs over there two right now? As shite as that is.
So that was really good mentioning him. That was a really good shout, mate.
I know,
Brilliant. Good stuff.
But that's where I would be. That's where I would be shopping. And then,
Right, Liam, what's your 5?
On a similar,
Lionel Messi.
similar to Ethan Erehon at St Mirren. I think he's out of contract in the summer. I think he's all right. I think he's pretty decent. Good athlete. He's only 21 as well. I think he's shown he can perform in the league. That's the face he's on there too sure at. Keanu Backus.
Also, my face, although you can't see it, but it pretty much represents Liam's.
Oh, of course it does. Of course it does.
Greg,
we won't do that anyway.
Me and you are the same freaking wife.
Don't be
I
bitter.
think Liam Futz.
Keanu Backus at St Mirren as well. He's only got 18 months left in his contract, but might be out of our price range. But if it was one of the two, I would much prefer Keanu Backus. I think he's been very good for them this year, and I would like us to potentially go down that Australian market. There seems to have been a good bit of success for teams in the league. We've done it ourselves with Australian players, but what?
Not very well.
Lewis Miller.
No, I know, but I think if you can get the right ones, then they can work well. We've never really shopped directly in the league other than Miller. I think McLaren had already been in Europe. Milligan had potentially been, I don't know if he'd been in Europe, Middle East. So, but again, I think Hearts have done quite well with the players they've brought in from the league. So yeah, I think that's somewhere we should be looking at. Jack Fitzwater from Livingston, 25. I know Liam's got an impression of they kick it real hard and real long, but I think Jack Fitzwater would be a really good signing. 25. He's proven he can do it in the league.
Yeah, but he's proven he can do it by throwing hammers about, mate. If you want to play it for the back, he's not your guy.
Now, who's to say that Hibs are going to be playing it for the back?
Well, when I get the job, we'll be playing it for the back. That's for sure.
I think we're probably again at risk of maybe doing Livi a little bit of a disservice by that as well, especially. So they did revert back to older ways, but there was a period, especially last year, where they were playing a lot more. But no, I think Jack Fitzwater's a good age, let's say at 25, available in the summer out of contract. So I think it wouldn't take much to get him out of Livingston, and they don't pay that much. So it would be a signing that I would be pretty happy with Hibs making, especially if we're talking about wanting two centre halves. If Jack Fitzwater was one of them, I think I'd be quite comfortable with it. And then one final one that I just seen the name on social media, Scott Robertson at Celtic. I think he's out the door. He's had a couple of loans in the lower leagues of England. I think that screams like a Ian Gordon development signing. That's it.
I liked one of the 5. The other 4, nah, no for me. Bacchus I've got on my list as well, but the other 4, nah, no thanks.
I'm not a fan of any of them, Ewan, to be honest, mate.
I just find it. I find the whole attitude towards centre halves. We want our defenders to be able to defend, but we don't want to sign a defender that defends first.
Correct.
Like,
move on.
You know, do you know, like that's not like.
Look. Fitzwater's a decent centre half. Obalai beside them, they do a good job, but they do an okay job. But yeah.
I just find there's quite. I think we spoke about Livi quite a lot on here, and
at the risk of sounding snobby, it's not really a team I'd be looking to pick up centre halves from.
Can I just see on that thing that we kick it real hard and real long, and I know that's a problem that I've got with centre half, so I've got a bias against players. I'll just declare that I've got a bias against players who are that kind of centre half. But I think also you have to recognise a massive difference between being a centre half for Livingston and a centre half for Hibs, and what that means defensively. Livingston, you're going to have 2 sitting midfielders basically sitting on top of you the entire time, so you don't ever really have to come in and try and occupy that 5-10 yards that's in front of you. All you're really worrying about is balls in the air, aerial balls, or the guy or the centre forward who's trying to peel round the back of you or is taking it into his body. At Hibs, the reliance on centre halves will be to come that 10, 15, maybe even 20 yards sometimes up the park and come and meet the ball and then turn on their heels and run in behind. And guys like Jack Fitzwater are not going to be that kind of centre half for Hibs. You cannot have guys that can't turn playing centre half. It just won't work. We've seen it to an extent with Rocky towards the end of last season. He was no good at defending the space in behind him. He's got better at it over the course of this season, but still very much a work in play. That's my issue with Fitzwater, as much as the fact that he's meat and potatoes.
That's absolutely fine. Liam, go with your list. You've said one of them already, so
I feel like I've just talked.
Do you want to say
you
first,
go.
Ryan?
Ryan, you go.
Ryan, do you want to tell him what's on his list? If I can do it.
Right, I'll go with mine. At this point, my recruitment skills are about as good as Ian Gordon, so I've probably got a few on here that are unrealistic. To balance the argument with Lewis Miller, I've picked out Danny McNamara right back at Millwall. I know he was on loan at St Johnstone, but I think he's been a fairly consistent player for Millwall for the last season and a half. Quite a good attacking threat, solid defensively. Pardon?
Is he playing?
Unfortunately, aye. So that kind of scuppers the chances of getting them. That's what I'm saying. Like the players I've kind of picked out are ones that I would love to have that are probably a bit unrealistic. I think we need an all-action midfielder. Again, this one's really unlikely to happen, but Alan Campbell, I think Liam's mentioned him in the past, have been somebody that would be a great addition to what we've got and would really kind of take us to the next level in that midfield area. Obviously played in the league for a number of years with Motherwell. Really good player, but again, unlikely to happen. And if Cabral was to leave, that would leave us with a bit of a gap at left back. So I think there's a lot of untapped talent in the League of Ireland. The teams that predominantly finish higher up the league there are of a decent standard, despite what people might say. And the left back at Shamrock Rovers is reaching his peak now, Sean Kavanagh. I think he's a fairly solid player knows the game, defends well, and it's a very physical league there, which is really similar to ours. So I think he would fare quite well in Scottish football, and that wouldn't break the bank to bring somebody in from that league. I've only picked out 3 because I know all you guys picked out 5, so we probably would have been at risk of picking the same players between me, Liam, and Greg.
Either Liam or Liam's shadow. If one of you two want to go next, that'd be great.
Oh, listen to how bitter he is. Quite cute, isn't it? Jealousy is not an attractive colour, yeah.
I'm not jealous of it. Just can't take it very well, can you? As we are
I'll let Liam go first.
I like the Sean Kavanagh shout for Ryan. I like the Sean Kavanagh shout. He was someone I thought about, but I didn't decide on left backs. I decided we were going to go with centre halves and centre midfielders. So I'd Bacchus, so just write him off completely. You said all it needs to be said there, Ewan. I had Michael Rose on my list. Was at Ayr, went down to Coventry. I think he's done pretty well for Coventry in League One, Championship. Believe he's out of contract at the end of the season. He's not playing every week for Coventry in the Championship. Very solid, sort of SPFL level pro. 26, 27-year-old, really good age for a centre half, I think. So he'd be one I'd look at. More experienced centre half, Kevin Long. It's at Burnley. Been Burnley for what feels like an age now. Is not playing at Burnley at all. Republic of Ireland international. He's well into his 30s, so he would be probably a bit of a, not a stopgap, but a bit of a short-term signing, but absolutely knows league, hasn't kicked a ball this season, but I think would be, if we could get him fit, would be a really decent signing for us, bring us a bit of experience. Another one is another one for League Ireland, and just caveat, like I've chosen someone for League Ireland because it's a league that I'll dip in and out of. I don't watch it every single week. One of the guys that's impressed me over the course of the season just gone is Will Patching at Derry City. 10 goals in 33 games from midfield. Kind of English midfield. I think he came through this academy at maybe Man City. Dotted about the League of Ireland, played for Dundalk, didn't really shoot the lights out of Dundalk, and then gone to Derry City and had a really good season. Again, would be available, I think, relatively cheaply. Someone with a really good pedigree, played for England through age grades and stuff. So he'd be someone I'd maybe take a look at just to solve that sort of goals from midfield conundrum. But I think centre half for me is the 2 key focus. If we got,
Liam,
aye.
A couple of them are obviously Championship League One players in England. Do you think if Lee Johnson gets his way, we might see that be the main area that we go shop in January? It's obviously where his experience lies.
Possibly, because he knows that market a wee bit better. Clearly, I think the thing that we've all sort of touched on with every player we've mentioned is affordability and wages, and quite often players in the Championship will be out of reach for Hibs because of the salaries, so they need to really be out of favour with our team in the Championship, or running down a contract. I want to try something new, so I do think it's a market that has had limited success, if I'm being honest, for Hibs. So I do feel a bit kind of fraudulent kind of putting those names forward, but yeah. I do think Michael Rose has got a connection to Scotland, and I think Kevin Long's at a stage of his career where he probably just wants to be playing football games.
I think Greg wrap us up.
Okay, number 1 does not need to be spoken about enough. Michael Duffy from Derry City as well. Spoke about him. 13 appearances, 3 goals for midfield. Another midfielder, Mark O'Hara from St Mirren. I think he's quite tidy on the ball, combative in the midfield. Joe Redmond's from St Pat, centre half. That was the one that Ryan ratted out. I think he's a very good centre half. He's physical. He's strong. One that is probably quite out there, Aaron Connolly.
Is he not earlier, Stan?
At Venezia.
So he's currently at Venezia on loan, but there's talk of his loan being terminated. He's struggling. I'd like to see us. I don't even know if we've still got the link with Brighton or whatever, but why not try and get him up here? Can play out wide, can play through the middle, quick. So yeah, I think Aaron Connolly struggling as well down at Brighton, to be fair. So maybe he needs a way.
Aye.
I'll take him.
sorry.
Also, Jordan Houghton from Plymouth. Holding midfield player. Couldn't find out when his contract expires, but I quite like to look at him. Watched him a couple of times, to be fair. And another unrealistic shout was Dominic Hyam from Blackburn Rovers.
I think we should just bring back Dominic Malonga. That's what I think we should do if we're signing any Dominics. Mark O'Hara, Greg, go and just present your thought process.
Shows your workings on that one, like.
That's not your best work, Greg. That fucking hell.
Do what it is, right? See, to be honest, I've watched him quite a few times this season. I think he's alright. Like,
Do you want the honest truth, right? About 5 minutes
based
ago, I
on-
was like, Mark O'Hara. And as soon as he said it, I was like, nah, fuck that.
based on what we've got at the moment,
He's not an upgrade.
not
an upgrade.
Nah, he's not, like.
fucking.
That is a
That's
lateral
the only
movement.
we fucking got. Like,
He's probably about the 5th St Mirren midfielder I would take off him, like, to be honest.
I don't know what
Ryan, wait a second, Ryan.
Big career move was
Thank you,
Dundee.
Ryan, for not picking a St Mirren player. Me and you are normal. We didn't pick a fucking St Mirren player like these
Listen,
fucking idiots.
I
Every
never
single
got-
time it's St Mirren. Get
I
over
never got
yourselves,
hammered
guys.
for any of mine.
The-
I'm
Well, yeah,
glad
but
nobody
it's-
ripped me to shreds. Like,
What are you on
Nobody
about St
runs
Mirren?
anything.
St Mirren? They're above us in the league. Why would we not sign
No,
them?
I'm not saying that, but like I just think avoid taking the same players unless you've got a bloody deal
Hi,
with them.
Harry. I
I
spoke
think it's just
about
piss taking at
Keanu.
this point.
I spoke
What
about
piss
Keanu
taking?
Bacchus,
What the
Addy,
fuck?
I get annoyed when
Top in
Rangers
the
and
league.
Celtic go and bully same teams and ruin them. We shouldn't do the same to St Mirren.
I'm not bullying them and ruining them. We're taking one of their players off them.
If there's a good
It's
player-
not quite the same.
and you
It's not
can
like we're
clearly see
stealing
them.
In their fee.
Fucking hell, defensive here, Ryan, aren't they? Oh my god.
Anyway, Greg, tell us, Mark O'Hara, why do you want to sign absolute fodder?
No, I've just said I think he's pretty tight on the ball. I think he's alright. Like, I'm not saying he's fucking NES star, but I'm saying that he's actually a decent football player.
That's a stretch.
Just,
I think you could say he's a football player. I don't care about decent football player,
big
Greg.
career move was to Dundee. That was his big money move.
I like the Aaron Connolly shout. I think Aaron Connolly, Harry Milne, and Sean Kavanagh are my favourite shouts.
When we talk about, for maybe the listeners that are similar to me that have never watched a League of Ireland game in their puff, Greg talks about a player there that scored 3 and 13. I'm going to cite what we spoke about last week.
To be fair, he is a
Stevie
left
Bradley.
midfielder, though.
Stevie Bradley
So-
plays wide midfield, scored 6 goals and got 6 assists in the same league, and we said he shouldn't be. He's nowhere near good enough for Hibs. Add in the fact he's a younger player and already on the books. I'm just curious to what the thought process is. Thank you.
Like he's a left.
I'll do it.
midfielder.
No, that'll do. Thank you very much.
Like,
That'll do. Right. No, I'm joking.
And just one last thing, Dipo Akinyemi plays at a higher level in the League of Ireland, and he's scoring goals for fun. So there you go.
But no, it was a genuine
Yeah,
question.
you've
League of
absolutely
Ireland, where
made that
does it is a genuine question? Where does the League of Ireland fall?
Right, we've
Well,
had this discussion already today, right? So Shamrock Rovers, Derry City, Dundalk, Westbrook, Boza play up the top, and then there's a big gap, to be fair,
Like
in
what,
terms
bottom
of
six?
ability.
We say that, but Sligo Rovers did not Motherwell at Europe
Yeah.
quite convincingly
Yeah.
earlier on this season. So,
And they would be considered one of the lower teams in the league.
and
Correct.
they are shite. They are absolutely
Correct.
shite.
Aye.
Are we
they're
talking
doing there
maybe,
with Finn Harps and that.
are we talking like a bridge almost
UCD.
between the sort of Premiership and the Championship almost?
Treaty United.
Do you know what? See, to be fair, I would say Shamrock Rovers are. I don't know. I don't overshoot it on me, but I'd probably say like I reckon
They'd stay up in this league.
comfortably.
Do you think so?
I think they would stay up in this league.
I'd say.
I think they'd get
Maybe.
promoted to it, but I don't know if they would stay up. Like,
I just find it interesting when
I think they would stay up.
Harry cites a striker that scored 15 goals in 18 games. And
is he actually 15 and 18?
Mate,
with
15 and
Bradley-
18, 5 assists as well.
Didn't know that.
I'm
I
actually
didn't fucking say that earlier.
I might
I know. I'm
actually,
just kidding.
I might get him in for the development squad.
I don't know.
Nah, he's in his 20s like it.
And Greg, I know we had the conversation earlier, but I'm sure there's people listening to this that have about the same knowledge of the League of Ireland as me. No, Realistically, though, how many players do we think we'll bring in? Maybe 3 or 4?
You just want to keep saying realistically though, on it, aye.
Fuck off.
Realistically though,
For me,
how
3
many
or 4 is,
players?
3 or 4 is the max. Otherwise, we're going to just be in another shitty situation again, aren't we?
I
Yeah,
think
but I
we'll
don't
bring
know
in
if 3 or 4 is enough.
I think we'll bring in tier 4 and then absolutely shit ourselves in the last day of the window and sign key players on loan from English Premier League Championship clubs. I genuinely, that's what we'll do. We'll sign tier 4, but that's our business done. And then we'll fucking shit the bed and we'll go out and buy 3 more players.
Quite similar to what we've done last year. We got quite a lot of business done early and then...
we applauded the club for it. And then
rinse and repeat.
We're all like, oh, that's great, getting the business done early. Quiet couple of weeks, couple of defeats. Fuck, why are we not signing anyone?
Sylvester Jasper is available. Go get him.
Oh dear, right, well there you go, right. So maybe being Ian Gordon and playing Football Manager's a lot harder because we tried to do it today and it didn't work very well for us. Shall we do listener questions and wrap this shit show up?
Go for it.
Aye.
Right. Jack Taylor asks, how do we most effectively use Kukarevich and Nisbet once both are fit? Could we see some variation of a 3-5-2 or 4-4-2 return? For me, get 3-5-2 in the bin, 4-4-2, diamond, whatever, but if fit, both play.
there should be no starting 11 whilst both of them are fit without them both starting.
Liam, that was
I'm with you on bin T5 I've seen enough of it for one season. Thank you.
I'll hold my hands up and say I was an advocate of the 3-5-2 before, but I've changed my opinion on that, given that we've never had much success with it since we switched it. So just get them both in the team, make it work somehow.
I am a 3-5-2 man, but not under Lee Johnson.
Right. Right. Kirby Nisbet has asked us, will you be covering Ellie Yuan's poor choices in day-to-day decision-making? And Ray has given us an example. So, for instance, with the cost of butter being so excessive these days, Eli should really be looking for value. Look no further. Iceland have Lurpak at £5 for 500 grams. However, but 2 tubs, and it's a remarkable £7.50, making it £3.75 a tub. Ellie's cost of saving tips. Does anyone have any of their own personal Ellie Yuan poor decisions made today?
Did he choose to live in Ormiston in a house with no curtains? That is the question.
An absolute dem.
Oh, well. Ellie Yuan's poor decision making. We could probably have that as a segment every week, to be fair, on a Monday after he's played a day.
Lovely. Lovely feat. I mean,
you tweeted the other day, said really good football player, 0 brain or something like that.
Aye, what John's saying, I said good footballer, really bad decision maker, and I got about 400 replies saying a good footballer doesn't he take a shot and it goes out for a throw in. That's like fair play.
Right, Dave Graham, can we put Porto in the defensive midfield role in the bin now? Or do we think the Brentmeister perhaps got enough stats to show him it's the future?
Right, let's not talk about Ryan Porteous. Let's talk about that great analogy. David Brent, that is so funny.
I think Dave's
Brent-ball.
also coined Brent Ball.
Brent Ball, that is fantastic.
It all depends what the GPS says.
Look, I didn't think Porteous was all that great in the role. I thought he was all right, but just play him at centre half.
Positionally, he was all over the shop.
And play your best players in their best positions. It's as simple as that. Football's a game made difficult by folk that have got these overcooked ideas, man. Just play him at centre half, play Kenner in his position. That's it.
You tell him, Ryan.
Would agree.
Aye, that's spot on, man.
Lee Johnson's too busy trying to be edgy in that, but really,
right.
He needs to piss off.
Dave's second question, and this is poor. Should Lee sit higher in the stand so he can see the game properly? Perhaps he's not able to take on full action from his diminished viewpoint on the touchline.
I know how we can fix this. Get him a step ladder. A wee vantage point.
I was thinking we could get my car seat for the dugout. Booster seat.
Well, what have you got Lee up beside you, Liam? What does he sit on?
On the fucking top row of these stand, I don't think he needs any further elevation.
We do put one broad his shoulders in the game.
Right,
20 stone and a half.
right. 150k on Hamlin Hill. Does Lee Johnson do the David Brent dance at the Christmas party?
David
When he's
Brent
not
does the Lee
slide
Johnson
tackling
dance at the
midfielders.
Christmas party.
What was that, Greg?
George.
When he's not slide tackling midfielders. In his leather jacket
On the dance floor.
and his heels with his earring.
Do you know what vibes Lee Johnson gives me? He gives me the vibes of a guy, like the older guy who's maybe relatively senior in the area that you work in. On a Christmas party, starts telling all the boys who are 10, 15 years younger that he used to be a bit of a boy when he was younger, used to be a bit of a ladies' man, and starts regaling them all these stories that are all 100% fictional.
So he looks like he looks like a newly divorced dad. And he's taking his pallet and the other way to get clothes and that. So he's bought what he thinks is trendy clothes and really just look a tit.
Oh dear, it was the jacket. Was it Dundee United jacket? Was that when it was like the sort of pale coloured one, the cream coloured fella? Was
The
that
one he napped off Del Boy, aye.
Oh dear.
That was Moss Bros fucking autumn sale. That like
Right, Jack Kelly has asked. Oh, he's got two questions here. Would you like to see us move back to 4-2-3-1 with the attacking options we have and the fact that Paul can't play football? I see it as best for us. 4-2-3-1, we probably played our best football in that formation / 4-3-3 this season. For that wee spell that we were actually
We
alright.
only turn up for 45 minutes a game though, so
Anyway, more important, and I did ask for some happier questions about the Christmas time. Greg, I'm going to come to you first here. Jack's asked, what's your favourite part of Christmas dinner? No Harry slander. Merry Christmas.
whatever a nap after it. A well-deserved nap after hoovering up all the pigs and blankets.
Why? Pigs and blankets, hands down the best for me.
It is the best.
nah.
It is the best.
I enjoy a bit of stuffing, to be fair.
Are you Brussels sprouts, Liam?
Pigs and blankets are fucking shite. They are absolutely shite. They are just the most overrated thing. Everyone goes on about pigs and blankets, or you like fucking it's this big mass thing because that's fucking sausage wrapped in a bit of bacon. Get over yourself,
exactly.
man.
It's fucking classy.
Exactly, man.
Shite. Best part of the Christmas dinner is undoubtedly, as long as it's good, is the gravy. It's the only ingredient of the meal that you can't not have.
Can I just throw it there? I want to flip the question. I think the worst part of Christmas dinner is if anybody makes a turkey. Turkey is the worst protein you can eat. It's dry and it's shite.
It's not properly-
Everything else on the plate is fantastic. Turkey's pish.
Nah.
Turkey-
You've been got to Miller and Carter for your turkey as well. Shite. Turkey is a very good protein. I very much enjoy it.
You must
Fully
stick
disagree.
your turkey in the microwave, Harry. Yeah?
Oh, wait, sorry, Greg, was that you sticking up for Liam again? Oh, sorry, didn't hear you there.
I was joining the conversation. Listen, I think Liam's miles off with the pigs and blankets shout, and I'll be picking that one after the show.
Oh, after the show.
offline conversation.
We'll take this off.
Wait, Liam, could you just stay on the call after this? You know I love you, but you're making it fucking difficult tonight. Right,
Stephen, share them like.
Right, Stephen Bell, is dipping chips into soup wrong? I'd love to ask a Hibs-related question, but I'm already feeling quite fragile this morning, and we have to endure another 90 minutes in only a few days' time. You guys have much stronger opinions on soup than I do.
I would dip bread in soup, so I've never done it, but I think dipping chips in soup makes sense. I would agree.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
It would depend on this. If it was too veggie a soup, like it'd be a bit weird. But if you're having like tomato soup, then feel free. Aye.
I think it's acceptable behaviour, right?
Someone once said to me, different soup question, that soup should be a breakfast item. And I was like, I don't actually think that's a terrible shout. I've never done it, but I didn't think it was that bad a shout.
It's a breakfast item in Vietnam. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was in a hostel and they started serving the national dish is pho, which is basically just like a beef soup with noodles. You have that at breakfast. Fucking, I couldn't do it. Like
heavy, nah?
That's quite like it's like a broth with like noodles and beef, and then they chuck some veg over the top.
Because I think it was like
wasn't for
winter
me.
time. That'd be bang on, wouldn't it? Like having something nice and warm to start your day.
Now you'll have a good bowl of soup. Would you dip chips in it?
Grab up chips and soup.
How dare you ask him
What?
that?
What is going on? Sorry, I just dropped off and I've come back to that question.
That is the question, mate. Aye, that's the question. And you're the only one so
Sorry, but
far that said it's unacceptable.
Would I dip chips in soup? Is that just to clarify? That is a question. Well, it depends what soup.
Well, it says, is dipping soup
Dipping soup?
wrong?
Well, I mean, being a soup taker, it's wrong. I'm not sure where the chips come in here. Like, I'm really confused.
Oh, yeah. I reckon Stephen must have done it last night with his dinner for the first time, maybe, and he's fucking woke up
Seeking
this morning with
validation.
A lot of questions. Right, couple of questions about January window. We've already covered that off, Dav and Rand. I don't even know what that username is. Right, Baldy asked us, why does Lee Johnson not just shut up and stop talking to the press? And then he's, I mean, the simple answer is he's contractually obliged to do it, is he not?
Nah, but I think the point is the thing he's saying, Like, yeah, Lee Johnson's a mouth. He's an absolute mouth. He's one of those ones, if he came in and he started having success straight away, we'd all think he was funny and magic, but he's no hit the ground running, so he seems like a dick.
He's a ball here away.
I'm sure we said this.
Nah, we
I'm
100% did.
I'm sure we said as soon as things start going wrong, we'll get fed up with the way he talks.
It was Sunderland fans called him Brent, and I think they were bang on. Like they were bang on. Like if you watch him, he's really lucky that there's no been a third series of Sunderland until I die, because we've got to see some of his Brentisms in the changing room.
It would be
I'm not gonna.
It would be interesting.
The moment that still sticks out for me, sorry, just on him, is that after St Johnstone, when one of the fans was like, "Oh, you're a shite," and then he was like, "You're not wrong, pal." Like, see if he said that now, imagine the absolute pelters he'd be getting for it. Like, it's one of those things that you can ride it whilst it's not too bad, but as soon as it gets bad, like he's going to make a comment at some point, and the fans, because I think most of us are kind of half turned, but the fans that aren't even slightly turned yet, he's going to make a comment and completely get everybody offside.
Oh, no, I'm not half turned, Harry. To be fair, I'm fully done.
At what minute on Saturday? Let's have a wee sweepscake from each of our seats in the East Stand and the main stand. What minute will we hear "Fuck off, Johnson, you Hearts bastard" for on Saturday afternoon?
Well, where we sit, Liam, we'll probably hear that before the game starts, and you know that's true.
Aye, there's some other expletives in there as well, I think, to go along with that.
Just you, Ryan, aye.
There's a lot.
Brody, if he's in a good mood.
There's a lot of support from still in the fan base. I think it's fair to say there's a lot of people who took umbrage with me saying that he's achieved nothing in football. No one sent me a screenshot of his EFL trophy that he won when he was manager at Sunderland. I was kind of waiting on someone sending me that so I could go back with the English equivalent of the Petrofac Training Cup. I'm absolutely
closed doors though, so it doesn't count.
I'm absolutely not having them at all. But there's a lot of people who are, so fair play to them, because
some may say he's even more qualified than Roy Keane.
Well, to be fair, he has had a better career than Roy Keane. Was what was put to me. I think Lee Johnson has not, as far as I'm aware, achieved anything. Roy Keane, maybe go and check out his Wikipedia page and get back to me. But you're
the only slight comparison
sack.
you could make between Lee Johnson and the GOAT is that they both played centre midfield, but one was astronomically better than the other.
Right, anyway.
Our football club doesn't want to talk to winners. It doesn't want to encourage winners to take the managerial post. We'd rather have losers in there. And that's exactly what we've got.
This conversation is redundant anyway, because you can't sack a manager when you've already sacked one in April. That's actually not allowed. You're not allowed to do that.
Drop my hot take on it. The reason folk are still supporting him is because they don't want to see another manager sacked.
I'll be honest, that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at.
I'm not. I'm done. I don't care how long you've been in the post or how short a time you've had in the post. The way he acts and the way the team plays is beyond anything that should be at this football club. So,
You know what the problem is? The problem is that we just keep getting it wrong, though. Every time, Maloney, we got it wrong. This one, at the minute, looks like we got it wrong. We've had opportunity after opportunity to get it right.
I wouldn't sack him before the folk that were hiring were different. That's the
They need to go as well. They need to go as well.
All
I
in
get
all,
sack him and sell him as well. Get him all.
Get them all out. Eddie May, caretaker manager, director of football, janitor.
Right. Baldy also asked, why do we not need?
janitor.
Why do we not bleed our own youngsters into the team instead of the foreign ones that are clearly not good enough? I believe there was a gap, wasn't there, in age that last January they wanted to address, and I think they've addressed it pretty poorly, to be fair. And I think there's been more and more clamour for the young guys, the young team to get into the team. On the back of the sort of European run, are you surprised that we've not seen any more of them starting to bleed into the team? Would you like to start seeing them bleed in?
At this point, I'd have Murray Johnson on the wing ahead of Tavares. Like,
The reason we've not seen him is because we've got 26 or 27 first team football players. 26. We're rolling in the league.
And then
Fucking like 20, we got knocked out of the League Cup at the end of fucking July.
just another sort of follow up here was Billy, King of the North. Is it concerning that there's a large number of the under 18s out of contract in the summer, and no news of new deals being offered? And then I suppose if you throw that in with the fact that they aren't really getting a sniff of the first team right now, would they be inclined to sign at this point in time?
I know exactly what's going to happen if the under 18s beat Borussia Dortmund. I can read every single Twitter comment out for you if you want. These guys should be in the first team, or these guys should be challenging the first team. And to be honest, they're probably right, because the first team show absolutely nothing, to be honest. So I would like to see, for example, send Ryan Schofield back down south. And why not just get Murray Johnson involved in the first team? Just get them in and about the place. Because
what's the point of having
Point having them picking up the phones on match day, though.
No, I was going to say, what's the point?
Johnson
What's the point in having someone like David Marshall if they can't be teaching someone like Murray Johnson? Like, because the calibre of player that we've been told we've supposedly got is like a future Scotland internationalist. Like, let's not beat around the bush with him. Like, he is supposed to be a top quality prospect. And we've got one of the best Scottish goalkeepers of his generation at the club. And he's like, I don't know what the relationship is, but for me, I'd be wanting them to spend as much time with each other as possible.
I'd have him on loan at a part-time club and train him at Hibs.
That's probably the best thing you could have.
I'd like to
do that for a lot of them.
I'd like to probably have him second half of this season out on loan, and then there'll probably be a question mark about potential just making him number 2 next season.
I do the same. O'Connor, Laidlaw, Aiken, Blaney. I'm not a fucking director of football at a football club, but I would have them all out and loan at part-time clubs if they wanted them, train them Hibs. No.
Tell me if I'm wrong here.
You're also forgetting that Jack Bryden's reading Edinburgh City as well. A lot of people coming in for big things, so
right.
I can't comment because I've not.
Wait,
really
Ryan had a comment.
But
I was going to say, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I wouldn't be against some of the players mentioned going to somewhere like the Lowland League to kind of learn the game and the physicality. Maybe the ones that are less inclined to break into the first team quickly. So like your O'Connors and stuff could probably play at a higher level, but the ones that are on the fringes of breaking through, it wouldn't be the worst idea. Get them into men's football.
It is really interesting that they're doing as well as they are, and a number of them are out of contract.
Yeah, it's worrying.
I was going to say, I said interesting. Yep. Right, a couple last few questions. Right, Sean Steele, do we have a wee Christmas down the slope get together? I think that's happening before the Celtic game, is it? However, Ryan is unfortunate.
Yeah, PS, just on that, to anybody who works for the company that I work for, fuck all of yous.
I thought you were going to just tell us like different plans or something there. Like,
No. Fuck every single one of you, including my sister.
Yeah, fuck you, Ryan's sister. Yeah.
Right, Sean's also asking, what's your favourite Hibs chant ever? Considering we're shite, I see you talking about the performance. Have a good Christmas, boys. All the best for the new year. You too, Sean. Favourite Hibs chant?
Definitely not the Paul Hanlon song.
What's Paul Hanlon's song?
Correct.
It's good, but it's like
It's
always got
Robert
now,
Wright.
isn't it? It's always
It's
got.
had its day.
I heard a good one the other day, and it was probably the best thing about Heckenbottom's time. Remember the song?
Heck, is it though?
Yeah,
It's a good
it
one.
was a good
This
song.
song is quite simple, and it's not even a fucking Hibs song. It's a Harry song. The Ryan Poch's song to
It's an actual banger. Like that's the best thing I've ever come up with in my life. I never caught it though.
Is fucking unreal, man. It's so good.
Harry's Melkerson song as well for me, like
That's quite good.
just because the TikTok that came with it was absolutely elite. Like it is up there with one of my favourite things.
That's one thing that I'm glad. That's one thing I'm glad didn't get exploited enough. I hate being called a shite bag, and the only reason that Hibs tweeted a video of me is because someone else called me a shite bag. So yeah, that's what happened there. If you want the story behind the Melkerson, call me a shite bag and see what happens.
Right, Andrew Brown, with a good few youth players out of contract summer, should they be given new deals or are they not good enough to step up? I think we've just addressed that, Andrew, but I think the general consensus from us all is if we've got them to this point, they should be at least getting an ARCA player, surely.
I'd say
3-year deals sorted.
Yeah.
When you're signing 20-year-olds from the Barcelona Residence Academy in fucking Los Angeles or wherever it is, I think they should be providing 20-year-old homegrown players an opportunity to play.
Right,
Really
last question. John McIntosh, it was John that asked us about was it must win for top four hopes against Livi, and you know what's coming next. What was for dinner, lads, or is for dinner, depending if you've ate at the time of recording. Let's go clockwise. I'll go to my right, Harry.
Guys, I've gained weight again. I'm back on the broccoli and rice.
No, mate.
Harry.
Aye,
Harry.
yeah.
Mate, it's
Gotta
gotta
get
get
fit
fit
for Christmas.
Man!
Gotta get fit for Christmas, boys. That's it. We're back on the broccoli and rice grind.
Mate, you've got one letter in that sentence wrong. It's get fat for Christmas.
No, you're leaving it late. You've only got a week left, man.
Mate, I do believe in this bullshit New Year's resolutions. It starts whenever it starts, and it started yesterday. So we're gonna crack on, boys. We crack on. Broccoli rice. Here we go. Chicken as well, of course.
Mate, you're staying at your sister. Your sister's a good cook, and you're letting her cook you broccoli and fucking rice and chicken.
Right, let's not cliche women. My sister might be a good cook, but it's nothing to do with the fact she's a woman. You, all right?
Greg, what's Elaine cooking you up tonight? And I hope she never felt any pressure.
My mum was also a good cook, but that is irrelevant of her gender.
You tell, Greg.
So she was away last night with pals away for the Christmas night out, so it was a bit makeshift tonight.
Greg's star.
And she did feel the pressure, and she did say that when we were having dinner. She was like, "This isn't great to tell the podcast tonight," but it was basically bacon loin steaks, potato crickets, and peas, which is a bit prison-y, but we'll move.
That sounds cracking to me. Like I'd be eating that.
Lane's got high
It
standards.
was alright, but it's a bit, yeah.
But can I just say peas underrated? I like peas.
I rate a pea as well. Like.
Ryan.
Everyone's world peas at Christmas.
Right, Ryan.
I'm not embarrassed to say this. Nicola's just come home from teaching the next generation of little bastards that are going to be around about, and she's now going to go cook me lasagna and cheesy flatbread for my tea. Should be me cooking, but she's a good in, like.
Oh, that's sensational. Good
Liam,
call.
you're usually a little bit more
Exotic.
Not a great one to report tonight. Thai chicken red curry ding meal was not right home with it.
No, was already. Did you say it was already made?
Aye, ding meal, man. We've had them for a while, and they just needed to get them out of the fridge. No great.
Have you got anything to dip in?
Nah.
Like poppadoms or that?
I can smell mine getting made, and now we are having a butter chicken curry I think it should smelling rather good. However, I had a wee meltdown before we came on the podcast when I realised there's no fucking naan bread. So
You're not having butter chicken. You're having disappointment. That's what you're having.
well, I think while this is downloading, I might fucking run to the shop. There's a wee co-op at the end of the street. I'll go see if they've got any. No, look, that was an interesting episode. The wee timer since we all joined the call is ticking on. I don't know how long we've been actually recording them for. If you've got this far, thank you for listening. And I think from all of us, hope you all have a very good Christmas. Hopefully Hibs don't dampen your spirits too much on Saturday and they get a positive result. And we will be back prior to the Celtic game. But yeah, have a good Christmas, everyone. And thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Brent ball, baby.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.